Welcome to the MasterMind Library. They call me Ferdinand, the bringer of balance, leader of many disciplines, and your host of the MasterMind Library. And as y'all know, over the last few episodes, we've been reading from The Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. Powerful material, breaking down how we think, breaking down how spirit works, breaking down quantum physics, breaking down some high vibrational information that we need for the way forward. So we are in the control. Let's go to the table of contents. We are in the control of conditions. All right, so let's go to that part of the book. Let's make sure we're in the right place. All right, the control of conditions. This is where we're at, and we're going to go ahead and get started. We're not going to delay. I'm going to make this a little bit larger for everybody to be able to see. All right, and then we got to make this a little bit larger. All right, that should do it right there. So we're starting with the control of conditions. Introduction. All right, 157. Let's go back over here and let's see where we end. I think this is about 30 pages. All right, so we end at around 172 or 173. All right, cool. 157. Introduction. Mental science is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Neither does it promise something for nothing. It does, however, promise the one who will comply with its teachings that he shall be able to bring into his life and experience greater possibilities and happier conditions. The science of mind is based entirely upon the supposition that we are surrounded by a universal mind into which we think. This mind, in its original state, fills all space with its presence. Since it fills all space, it fills the space that man uses in the universe. It is in man as well as outside of him. As he thinks into this universal mind, he sets in motion a law which is creative and which contains within itself a limitless possibility. The law is infinite. The law through which man operates is infinite, but man appears to be finite. That is, he has not yet evolved to a complete understanding of it. He is unfolding from a limitless potential, but can bring into his experience only that which he can conceive. There is no limit to the law, but there appears to be a limit to man's understanding of it. As his understanding unfolds, his possibilities of attainment will increase. It is a great mistake to say, "Take what you wish, for you can have anything you like." We do not take what we wish, but we do attract to ourselves that which is like our thought. Man must become more if he wishes to draw a greater good into his life. We need not labor under the delusion that all we have to do is to say everything is ours. This is true in reality, but in fact, it is only as true as we make it. We provide the mold for the creative law, and unless the mold which we provide is increased, the substance cannot increase in our experience. For mental science cannot hold forth a promise that will do away with the necessity of complying with law. The law is a law of liberty, but not a law of license. It is exact and exacting, and unless we are willing to comply with its nature and work with it along the lines of its inherent being, we will receive no great benefit. Every man must pay the price for that which he receives, for that price is paid in mental and spiritual coin. An avenue must be provided through which the law may work as a law of liberty, if it is to free us. This does not mean that we must please the law, for it is impersonal and neither knows nor cares who uses it, nor for what purpose. But because it is impersonal, it is compelled, by its very nature, to return to the thinker exactly what he thinks into it. The law of mental equivalence must never be overlooked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. The possibility of law. The possibilities of the law are infinite, and our possibilities of using it are limitless. We may and should receive full benefit, and we will to the degree that we understand and properly use it. There is a law of unfoldment in man, which says that he can advance only by going from where he is to a place where he would like to be. This is not because the law is limited, but because it is law. As man unfolds in his mentality, the law automatically reacts to him. The way to work is to begin right, right where we are, and through constantly applying ourselves to the truth, to gradually increase in wisdom and understanding. For in this way alone will good results be obtained. If, day by day, we have a greater understanding and a clearer concept, if daily we are realizing more of truth and applying it in our actions, then we are on the right path, and eventually we will be made free. Spirit and mental law. It is impossible to divorce spiritual understanding from the proper use of mental law. The spirit within man is God, and only to the degree that we listen to and seek to obey that spirit shall we really succeed. The law is a blind force, and lest we misuse it, we should be very careful to follow only a constructive course. But the law is absolute, and we should trust its impersonal action implicitly. It can do anything for us that we can conceive of its doing. It is the law of freedom to all who believe in and obey it. The highest realization that we can have is a recognition of the omnipresence of spirit. This will set in motion greater possibilities and will automatically provide a larger concept of life. We should daily train our thought to recognize the spirit in everything we do, say, or think. There is no other way, and to try any other way would be to make a complete failure. Render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's. A constant realization of the presence of spirit will provide a sense of divine companionship that no other attitude could produce. Why should we not take the highest and best? God is, and we should realize this fact and make use of it. As soon as we recognize that God is, we can turn to the law and tell it what to do. We have no record of Jesus ever asking God to do things for him. He gave thanks and then commanded the law to work. This is the correct manner of approach to the spirit and the law. This is not superstition, but the fact in the case. And we would better realize it. The law is subject to the spirit and is its servant. Man is spirit, but until he knows this, he will be only half using the law, for he will not have a clear understanding to fall back upon. Demonstration or bringing things to pass. We hold no argument with anyone over the possibility of demonstrating the law. There is no such thing as universal law and mind, and we can use it if we comply with its nature and work as it works. We do not argue, ask, deny, nor affirm. We know. Thousands are today proving this law, and in time, all will come to realize the truth. We can demonstrate to the level of our ability to know. Beyond this, we cannot go, but we will constantly expand and increase in knowledge and understanding, thereby continuously growing in our ability to make use of the law. In time, we will be made free through it. It is a wonderful experiment and a great adventure to make conscious use of the law, to feel that we can plant an idea in mind and see it gradually take form. The student should take time every day to see his life as he wishes it to be, to make a mental picture of his ideal. He should pass this picture over to the law and go about his business with the inner assurance that on the invisible side of life, something is taking place. There should never be any sense of hurry nor worry about this, just a calm, peaceful sense of reality. Let the law work through and express itself. The experience. There should be no idea of compulsion. We do not have to make the law work. It is its nature to work. And all that we need to do is to make use of it. In gladness, then, we shall make known our desires, and in confidence, we should wait upon the perfect law to manifest through us. Our part. Our part is to be ready and willing to be guided into truth and liberty. If, in the making of a demonstration, it becomes necessary to change our mode of living, then the law will point the way and we will follow. Our correct choice will be part of the working out of the law. All doubt, all doubt and fear must go, and in their place must come faith and confidence, for we shall be led by the Spirit into all good. Treatment. Treatment is not for the purpose of making things happen. It is to provide within ourselves an avenue through which they may happen. Treatment opens up the avenues of thought, expands the consciousness, and lets reality through. It clarifies the mentality, removes the obstructions of thought, and lets in the light. We already live in a perfect universe, but it needs to be mentally seen before it can become a part of our experience. Treatment removes doubt and fear, lets in the realization of the presence of spirit, and is necessary while we are confronted by obstruction or obstacles. Every problem is primarily mental, and the answer to all problems will be found in spiritual realizations, medium between man and his manifestation. The subjective state of man's thought decides what is to happen to him. The subjective side of his thought is the sum total of his thinking and knowing. It is the medium between the relative and the absolute, between the limitless and the conditioned. Whatever is involved in it will evolve. Therefore, treatment is the act, the art, and the science of systematically and consciously inducing such thoughts as we wish to see expressed. When there is no longer anything within our mentality that denies our word, a demonstration will be made. Nothing can stop it, for the law is absolute. The question might be asked, if this is true, why not affirm that we have what we desire and let it go at that? This is true in principle, but in practice and in fact, it is only as true as we make it. That is, we cannot demonstrate beyond our ability to know the truth. We should begin, then, with the things that we do know, and from that basis evolve a greater knowledge. We should approach the law normally and naturally and with a sense of ease. There is nothing peculiar or weird about this. It is a natural law, working in a normal way, and must be thought of in this light. We should come to consider the law and the spirit as friends and think of them as such. In this way, we will gradually go from good to more good, and from peace to a greater peace. This is the natural unfoldment of reality through man. We should expect the best and so live that the best may become a part of our experience. The control of conditions. In taking up this subject, let us very clearly understand that we do not differentiate between conscious mind and spirit. There is no difference, for they are one. The spirit of intelligence, which is God, in order to do something for us, must do that thing through us. And what it is to do must first become a part of our mentality before it can become an individual experience. Our mentalities are but the spirit working through us as individuals. In the new schools of thought, there are those who claim to demonstrate only by the spirit, also those who claim to demonstrate only by the mind. This is a distinction which is suppositional rather than real and is impossible, because if there were two powers, we would at once have duality and our philosophy of unity would be contradicted. There is but one active intelligence, whether it be the universal intelligence or universal spirit individualized in us. We do, however, distinguish between the phase of mind which we call conscious and the phase which we call unconscious or subjective, as has already been explained. In demonstrating conditions, the only inquiries we need to make are: do the things that we want lend themselves to a constructive program? Do they express a more abundant life? Rob none, create no delusion, but instead, do they express a greater degree of livingness? If they do, then all the power in the universe must be behind them. If it is money, automobiles, houses, land, stocks, bonds, dresses, shirts or shoestrings, cabbages or kings, all of which come from the same source, there can be nothing, either in the law or in the spirit back of the law, to deny us the right to the greatest possible expressions of life. So we need not hesitate to use the law for personal motives, for we have a perfect right to do so. It is good for every, and here goes how ideas manifest as things. There y'all go right there. Word of thought and word of reflection. Leaving it on the screen just for a second and y'all can screenshot, do what y'all need to do. This chart is divided into two sides, representing the world of thought and the world of reflections. It represents the law of cause and effect. The world of thought is the world of ideas, while the world of reflections means the results of thought. The world of reflections is entirely a world of effects and is, of itself, unconscious and unknowing. Consider everything on the left side of this chart to be thoughts or ideas, and consider everything on the right side to be the automatic results of the law as it works out into effects. By using this chart in conjunction with the explanations already given, it will be plain just how the law of cause and effect works from the idea to the thing. One to express himself, provided that in so doing, he does not destroy the independent. Let's make sure we're on the right page. 150, yeah, we're on the right page. It looks like this one. It is good for every one to express themselves. All right, so 151 and 153 is connected, which is slightly strange. To express himself, provided that in so doing, he does not destroy the independence of others. Law of reflection. In turning to the law, then realize that it is a law of reflection. Life is the mirror of king and slave. Chart number 4 is divided into two parts with a suppositional line in the center. On one side is depicted the world of thought, and on the other, the world of the reflections of thought. The other is the world of soul or receptivity and of reflections. In the thought is the cause that reflects the effect, the belief that reflects the correspondence. Here is the image, and here is a form. Here is the limited thought, the result of which reflects poverty. Here is the freed thought, the result of which reflects wealth. Here is a thought of peace, which reflects peace. Here is a prayer, and here is its answer. The answer to prayer is in the prayer when it is prayed, and the answer is identical with the prayer. Here is yes, and here is yes, and here is no, and here is no. Why is this? Because the law takes us at our own valuation. If we say yes, it says yes. And if we say no, it says no. For it can only reflect, it cannot initiate anything. So here is friendship, and over here is friendship. Emerson said, if you want a friend, be a friend. And so, as the idea of friendship dawns upon the consciousness, the law of attraction produces friends. For one is the picture and the other is the thing. This is the great teaching of involution and evolution. The thought involved and the result evolved. One is the treatment and the other is the demonstration. We mean by demonstration bringing into our experience something which we had not experienced before, bringing it in as the result of conscious thought. And unless it is possible to do this, The whole science is a mistake and a delusion. Unless there is a divine principle, universal soul, or subjectivity, Elijah, move your feet. Unless there is a divine principle, universal soul, or subjectivity, or medium, which of itself, without any help or assistance, can produce things, and will, then there is nothing in this teaching. But there is divine principle, and what it does for us, it must do through us. Our part in the demonstration is to set the word in motion, thus compelling, through the law of subjectivity, the result or manifestation, attracting friends. When we are dealing with causation, we are dealing with that which has involved within itself all effect as it unfolds. We may leave it to the law to compel right action. With this in mind, let us go on to treatment. Suppose we wish to attract friends. We must begin to image ideal relationships, be they social or otherwise, to sense and feel the presence of friends, to enjoy them in our own mentalities, not as an illusion, but as a reality, not as a dream, but as an experience, to declare that their presence is now here, that they know it, and that we know it. But we must never look to see if they are there or they are here, because this would imply doubt and would neutralize our word. We can attract the kind of friends we wish if we specifically designate the kind. But we must never think of certain people or that a particular individual must be one of them, for this would be hypnotic. Just thinking the idea will bring the right kind of friends. In order to have this friendship enduring, true, really worthwhile, and a thing of beauty, we should cultivate an attitude of friendship toward everybody and everything. The principle of prosperity. We are surrounded by a universal subjectivity, a subjective, creative consciousness which is receptive, neutral, impersonal, always receiving the impress of our thought, and which has no alternative other than to operate directly upon it, thus creating the things which we think. Each one should realize that there is nothing in him that denies that which he desires. Our unity with our good is not established while there is anything in us that denies it. People often say, "How shall I know when I know?" If you knew, you would not ask this question. The very fact that you can ask it proves you do not know. For when you know that you can prove it by doing. Thought sets definite force in motion in mind relative to the individual who thinks. For instance, I am known in consciousness as Ernest Holmes, for that is my name. And every claim made for me, which I accept, operates through avenues of mind activity and returns to me as some condition. In practice, always forget the limitations of individuality. Each treatment should embody a recognition of the whole because it is omnipresent. We deal with absoluteness. We deal with absoluteness. This is the attitude that we should have. What we need to know, what we need is to know the truth. This does not mean that we need not be active. Of course, we shall be active, but we need not compel things to happen. A good demonstration is made when the truth, gathering its own power, lifts one out of his environment. And until that time comes, he should stay where he is in order that he may know when he has made a demonstration. It is not a good demonstration if, when we give our treatments, we have to struggle just as before. Principle is absolute. And insofar as any individual can actually induce within consciousness, upon principle, a definite, concrete acceptance of his desire, it will manifest, even if every thought on earth had to change to compel it. If it were a bit of information that only one person on earth knew, and he was in the center of Africa, it would be produced. Prayer is its own answer. Cause and effect are but two sides of thought. and spirit is both cause and effect. Prayer is its own answer. Now, if the one who prays only partly believes, then there is a tendency to set an idea in motion. If the next day he wholly doubts, this idea must be wiped out. In dealing with mind, we are dealing with a force which we cannot fool. We can fool ourselves. We can fool others, but we cannot cheat principle out of the slightest shadow of our most subtle concept, for this is impossible. The hand writes and passes on, but the writing is left there, nevertheless. And the only thing that can erase it is a writing of a different character. We must either transcend all that has gone before by walking above it, neutralize it by an opposite state of consciousness, or endure it. Get a sense of self mastery, of being equal to every occasion. There is nothing too great. There is no obstacle that you cannot surmount, no obstruction that you cannot dissipate by the power of truth. If your concept of truth is dynamic enough and clear enough, and if the embodiment is complete, if you know, that the power with which you are dealing is principle and not personality, if you know and believe that mind is the only actor, cause, effect, substance, intelligence, truth, and power that there is, and if you have a real embodiment of your desires, then you can demonstrate. If you lack, if you are poor, if you are without friends, if you are without opportunity, don't fight anything, but be sure to erase from your consciousness any sense of that lack. You erase thought from consciousness by pouring in an opposite thought. This opposite thought meets the other and neutralizes it. That is, it rubs it out, just as we rub a chalk mark off of a board. Take a consistent, positive, aggressive mental attitude in the truth. We walk by falling forward. Water falls by its own height. The planets are eternally falling through space, for everything sustains itself in nature. The only reason that man is limited is that he has not allowed the instinctive life to come out through him. And the reason why this is possible is that his own divine individuality, as soon as it was evolved, compelled infinity to appear in his experience as duality, because he believed in duality. Take no personal responsibility for making anything happen. Throw your word into mind and know that mind receives it. Mind believes it. Mind accepts it. Mind acts upon it. And mind produces it. No personal responsibility. No matter how great, a responsibility may rest in that which must be done. Never let 1 minute's responsibility rest in your own thought about it, because that to which the mind gives birth is, and every idea is bound to produce an effect exactly like its cause. When we make a demonstration, we must take what goes with it. Give me the pen, the other one. No matter how great a responsibility may rest in that which must be done, never let 1 minute's responsibility rest in your own thought about it, because that to which the mind gives birth is, and every idea is bound to produce an effect exactly like its cause. When we make a demonstration, we must take what goes with it. Therefore, all demonstrations should be made in peace, confidence, and joy, and in the realization of divine love and protection as permeating everything. The effect for this is evident, for we are dealing with the law of cause and effect. We are not depending upon chance, but upon law. We must know that we are dealing with the substance from which all things are made: people, brains, monkeys, everything that is. Nothing moves but mind. And we are dealing with the mind that is the mover, the creator, the cause of all that is or is to be, helping an inventor. Suppose an inventor came to you and said, I am trying to perfect a piece of machinery and have not been able to work it out the right plan. You sit with him for treatment. that is, you concentrate in mind in order to produce the desired idea through him. You know that all ideas come from mind and that mind is always unfolding its ideas through man. You say, John Smith is an inventor. A certain idea is trying to operate through him, and there is nothing in him that can obstruct this idea. Then state that this idea is known in mind and is now flowing through him. If you do this, thinking clearly, new ideas will begin to operate through him, and he will discover the thing he needs. Look only at what you want. Never look at which you do not wish to experience. No matter what the false condition may be, it must be refuted. The proper kind of a denial is based upon the recognition that, in reality, there is no limitation, for mind can as easily make a planet as anything else. The infinite knows no difference between $1,000,000 and a penny. It only knows that it is. It would be just as easy to demonstrate $1,000,000 as it would be to demonstrate 10 cents, if the mental concept embodied the idea of $1,000,000. It is the consciousness back of the word that forms the word. Consciousness means the inner embodiment of an idea through the recognition of truth and a direct relationship to the divine. The greatest teacher who ever lived was the most spiritual man. For the more universal and comprehensive the thought, the more godlike it must become. A good treatment is always filled with the recognition of the presence of God, or good. Even in spiritual things, we are still dealing with the law of cause and effect, for God is law. The more exalted the thought, the more heavenly, the more boundless, the more godlike or Christ-like the thought, the more power it will have. This is why the greatest teacher should become the savior. He couldn't help it. A great teacher would have to be a savior. Definite plan. We will say that there are 4 men, A, B, C, and D. A receives 15 a week. B receives 50. C 75, and D 100. Now these 4 are all without positions, and they come to a practitioner for mental treatment. The practitioner takes the thought that there is nothing but activity. He neutralizes, in his own thought, any belief in inactivity and declares that each of these 4 men is divinely active and occupied. Without question, he has set in motion a law which will respond and will reproduce something for each of these 4. We will suppose that his treatment is a good and an effective one. They receive it, and consequently, each one of them receives a position. You will find that each does not receive the same compensation, for in all probability, A will receive 15 per week, B 50, C 75, and D 100. But one might say, he spoke the same word for each. Why did they not all receive 100 per week? Because while his word was used for each in a like manner, each could receive only his feel, his mental capacity to comprehend. Each was full and no doubt running over, but the molds which their perceptions of life provided were limited to the subjective remembrance already set in motion by themselves. Each attracted to himself, out of the universal good, that which he could comprehend. It is the old statement that water will reach its own level by its own weight, and without effort. So a treatment will only level itself in the objective world at the level of the subjective thought and realization. This does not mean that each of the above stated men will always have to receive the same compensation, for with an enlarged consciousness, he will receive more. Attraction. Each one automatically attracts to himself just what he is. And you may set it down that wherever you are, however intolerable the situation may be, it is just where you belong. There is no power in the universe but yourself that can get you out of it. Someone may help you on the road to realization, but substantiality and permanence can come only through the consciousness of your own life and thought. Man must bring himself to a point where there is no misfortune, no calamity, no accident, no trouble, no confusion, where there is nothing but plenty, peace, power, life, and truth. He should definitely, daily, using his own name, declare the truth about himself, realizing that he is reflecting his statements into consciousness and that they will be operated upon it. This is called, in mysticism, high invocation, invoking the divine mind, implanting within it seeds of thought relative to oneself. And this is why some of the teachers of older times used to teach their pupils to cross their hands over their chests and say, "Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful me." Definitely teaching them that as they held themselves, so they would be held. Act as though I am, and I will be. One of the ancient sayings is that to the man who can perfectly practice in action, all things are possible. This sounds like a contradiction until one gets down to the inner teachings, for it is only when one completely practices in action that he arrives at the point of the true actor. For he then realizes that the act or the actor are one and the same, that cause and effect are the same, which is simply a different way of saying, know the truth and the truth shall make you free. To reduce the whole thing to its simplest form, whatever one reflects into mind will be done. How to demonstrate a home. Suppose you wish to demonstrate a home daily, looking into mind, visualizing it just as stop. Stop.
Yes, sir.
Suppose you wish to demonstrate a home daily, looking into mind, visualize it just as you wish it to be, making the picture as clear as possible. For it is a lack of clearness of thought that hinders demonstration. Then sit there about 10 minutes saying, "It is, it is, it is." Perhaps thoughts will come in which say that it is not. Pay no attention to such thoughts, but return to your meditation and seeing the picture anew, say again, "It is, it is, it is." Use no effort, but simply see the picture very clearly and declare for its presence. Never look for results from treatment, for if you do, you will not find them. This is in accordance with law. For what you look for, you know that you do not have, and are only trying to fool yourself into thinking that you do have. Treatment is not a process of hypnotism, it is a process of self knowing. And if you really know, you will be sure to demonstrate. Treatment is the art, the science, and process of systematically inducing within consciousness concepts of definite desires as already accomplished facts and experiences in life. Resist not. When Jesus said, resist not evil, he meant that non recognition of evil is the only way to avoid it. This is true according to the law of cause and effect. For what we persist in recognizing, we persist in holding in place. That which we non-recognize, we neutralize, and it is no longer there so far as we are concerned. In making a demonstration, don't try to demonstrate. In making a demonstration, where were we at? In making a demonstration, don't try to demonstrate, for demonstrations are not made through effort, because this would contradict one of the fundamental principles of the universe, which is the self existence of causation. In other words, nothing can come before that which is. Consequently, everything must come out of that which is. And within that which is the inherent possibility of that which is to be. All things exist as a potentiality, as a possibility now. I am Alpha and Omega. Try to get a recognition of your desire and pass the whole thing over to mind and let it operate. Just know that the desire is already a fact and quietly say to yourself as often as the thought comes into mind, it is done. The lighter the thought is, the less care or worry over it, the better. The best work is done when the element of struggle is entirely left out. Healing a misunderstanding. Suppose one says, I have had a terrible misunderstanding with a friend of mine, and it has come to a point where we do not even speak to each other. What is the fundamental error which has brought about this condition? A lack of the realization of the unity of all life, a belief in duality. Destroy this belief in duality. Recognize that there is but one mind. See God in each, and the trouble will be healed. We all live in the one mind of God. Fate. If one believes in fate, he must be healed of this thought, for there is no such thing as fate. If one believes that planetary forces have anything to do with life, he must be healed of this thought. Break down everything except the recognition of the one perfect power, which is not contingent upon any place, person, condition, time of year, or anything but itself. A demonstration is made when it comes through straight from the truth. The one who wishes to make a demonstration must first clear up his own subjective atmosphere. The reason being that he may be objectively making statements which his subjective thought may be denying. In this way, we often neutralize our word as fast as it is spoken. A treatment is scientific in that it is the act of inducing into subjectivity ideas which neutralize false images of thought and which let the truth come through into expression. The reason that we need such science is that we do not have a perfect faith. For if we had a perfect faith, we would have washed clean the subjective thought and no doubts would be there until the time comes when one can say to the sick, get up and walk, and have them do so, or say, there is money, and have it appear. He must take the process of inducing thought for the purpose of accumulating a subjective belief in the things which he desires. This belief, as soon as it is complete, is the demonstration. The demonstration takes place within and not without. Attraction of personality. One might say, I have no personality with which to attract people. There is but one person. This person is manifested through every living soul. It is radiant, vibrant, dynamic. It is the personality. It is complete. It is. It is. The ones to whom we are the most strongly attracted are not necessarily the ones who are the most beautiful physically, but are the ones from which we receive that subtle emanation, that something. What is that something? It is not that which shows, but that which floats through from within. It is the inner recognition of reality. See life expressed. One should analyze himself, saying, do I look at myself from a standpoint of restriction? Do I see life as limited to the eternal round of getting up in the morning, eating, going to work, coming home, going to bed, sleeping, getting up again, and so on? Break the bonds of necessity and see life as one continuous expression of the infinite self. And as this conception gradually dawns upon the inner thought, something will happen in the outer conditions to let up on the greater demands of the law of necessity. If one were doing the work he should be doing, he would never become tired because the energy which holds the universe in place is tireless. The reason why we become tired is that we have cross currents of thought over work. This arises from a belief in duality. A treatment is the scientific act of inducing concepts in mind, which operates upon them and manifests them in external affairs, just as the picture is held subjectively. During the process, we meet, contact, neutralize, and erase any and all opposing mental forces or conditions which deny our greater good. Never limit your view of life by what you or anyone else has ever accomplished. The possibility of life is inherent within the capacity to imagine what life is, backed by the power to produce this imagery or divine imagination. It is not a question of failing or of succeeding. It is simply a question of sticking to an idea until it becomes a tangible reality. The illusion is in the way that we look at things. The illusion is in the way that we look at things. We have looked at some things and they have looked evil to us. We must look at them until they look good. We have looked at someone and he has looked sick to us. We must look at him until he looks well. We have seen discord. We must see harmony. Look at harmony and people will become harmonious. We have looked at poverty, degradation, and misery until they have assumed a gigantic form. Now we must look at harmony, happiness, plenty, prosperity, peace, and right action until it appears. Look to the ultimate. In treating, we conceive of the ultimate of the idea, but never of the process. Never treat a process. Never look for anyone. We plant a seed, and there is in that seed, operating through the creative soil, everything that is going to happen until it comes up, unfolds, and produces a plant. The ultimate of effect is already potential in cause. This is the mystical meaning of those words. I am Alpha and Omega. Our word should be the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end of the thing thought of. All cause and effect are in spirit. Cause and effect are bound together into one complete whole. One is the inside and the other is the outside of the same thing. Once you have driven the peg into the ground, stick to it. Never let anything cause you to doubt your ability to demonstrate the truth. Conceive of your word as being the thing. See the desire as an already accomplished fact and rest in perfect confidence, peace, and certainty, never looking for results, never wondering, never becoming anxious, never being hurried nor worried. Those who do not understand this attitude will think that you are inactive. But remember, to him who can perfectly practice inaction, all things are possible. No mistakes. In mental work, we must realize that there is one infinite mind, which is consciously directing our destiny. Declare every day that no mistakes have been made, none are being made, and none can be made. Declare there is one supreme intelligence which governs, guides, and guards, tells me what to do, when to act, and how to act. Then act with perfect assurance. Declare everything necessary to the full and complete expression of the most boundless experience, joy in life. Everything is now. Know this, see it, feel it, and be it. Do this every day for a few minutes. We should all do this until the time comes when it will no longer be necessary. When that time comes, we will know it, because our demonstrations will have been made. Suppose one says, I have made a lot of mistakes in my life. I had opportunities which I did not grasp. This is a direct belief that there is but one opportunity which comes to man, and if he does not take it, he will have no more. This is a belief in limited opportunities, and it must be denied completely and specifically. We exist in limitless opportunities, which are forever seeking expression through us, and are expressed in and through us. Know that there is no condemnation, for nothing can condemn unless we believe in condemnation. Destroy the thought that would lay limitation or bondage upon any situation or condition. Loose him and let him go. Talk to yourself, not to the world. There is no one to talk to but yourself, for all experiences take place within. Conditions are the reflections of our own meditations and nothing else. There is but one mind to think, but one thing that it can think. That mind is our mind now. It never thinks confusion. It knows what it wishes and how to accomplish what it desires. It is what it desires. Causes and conditions. Pay no attention to what happens in the objective world when you are making a demonstration. We interpret causes by conditions only as we realize that a condition must partake of the nature of its cause. If there appears to be confusion in the condition, then there must have been confusion in the thought back of it. Pay no attention to the objective expression so long as you know you are getting the right subjective recognition. The way to work out a problem scientifically is to take it up in thought daily and conceive of it as already being an accomplished fact and experience. Get the idea of the desire as already embodied in the absolute. Unless one believes that there is an absolute, how can he do this? We must believe that we are we must believe that we are dealing with reality and with nothing less than the absolute. If we are radiating thought into divine mind, what is there that can hinder it from operating on this thought? Nothing, for it knows no hindrances. Be sure that there is nothing destructive in the reaction, for there must be no element of destructiveness in our work. Daily hold your desire as an already accomplished fact and go about your business with joy and gladness, with peace and quiet confidence. The law is then sure to act. During the process, many things may happen, and that will appear to be destructive. You may pass through good fortune and bad, but if you can come to the point where you are not disturbed by what happens on the outside, you have found the secret. If, as Jesus said, we judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment, remembering that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. Out of any chaos, we can produce harmony, provided we keep our thoughts steady. The answer to prayer is already in the prayer when it is prayed. Perfect action. Assume a case of treatment for prosperity. Suppose one comes to you and says, business is bad. There is no activity. How are you going to treat him? Are you going to treat activity or business, customers, conditions, or what? There is but one thing to treat, as far as the practitioner is concerned, and that is himself. The practitioner treats himself, the reason being that his patients and his own mind are in the one mind. There is but one activity, which is perfect. Nothing has happened to it. Nothing can cut it off. It is always operating, but there is no belief in activity. What is this statement of? To neutralize the belief in inactivity? A word spoken in mind will reach its own level, in the objective world, by its own weight. Just as in physical science, we know that water reaches its own level by its own weight. You must destroy the thoughts of inactivity. Man cannot become either discouraged or afraid if he realizes that there is but one mind, which he may consciously use. The real man knows no discouragement, cannot be afraid, and has no unbelief. Who plants a seed beneath the sod and waits to see it turn away the clod, has faith in God. And he who knows of the power with which he is dealing, and who plants a seed of thought and subjectivity, knows that it will come up and bear fruit. Bring out the idea of substance. Make consciousness perceive the substance. That substance is spirit. Spirit is God, and God is all that there is. Once you acquaint the consciousness with this idea, it is implanted in the creative power which is externalizing in your life. Mental equivalence. The law is infinite and perfect, but in order to make a demonstration, we must first have a mental equivalent of the thing we desire. Consequently, the range of our possibilities at the present time does not extend far beyond the range of our present concepts. As we bring ourselves to a greater vision, we can then induce a still greater concept and thereby demonstrate more in our experience. In this way, there is a continuous growth and unfoldment taking place. We do not expect to give a treatment today and have $1 million tomorrow, but little by little, we can unfold our consciousness through the acquisition of greater and still greater mental equivalents until at last we shall be made free. The way to proceed is to begin right where we are. It is not scientific to attempt to begin somewhere else. This would be chaotic. One who understands the systematic use of the law will realize that he is where he is because of what he is. But he will not say, I must be where I am because of what I am. Instead, he will begin to disclaim what he appears to be. As his statements loosen wrong subjective tendencies and false mentality, providing in their place a correct concept of life and reality, he will automatically be lifted out of his conditions. and impelling forces, which will sweep everything before him, will set him free, if he trusts in spirit and in nothing else. Stay with the one and never deviate from it. Never leave it for a moment. Nothing else can equal this attitude. To desert the truth in the hour of need is to prove that we do not know the truth. When things look the worst is the supreme moment to demonstrate to yourself that there are no obstructions. When things look worse is the best time to work, the most satisfying time. The person who can throw himself with a complete abandon into that limitless sea of receptivity, having cut loose from all apparent moorings, is the one who will always receive the greatest reward. Treating for activity. Suppose you have a store and wish to attract customers, which means activity in this kind of business. Every day, see the place filled with people. Make a mental picture of this. You are dealing with intelligence, so work intelligently. Ask for what you wish and take it. If you were treating for activity in a store in Boston, you would not be treating someone in Kalamazoo for the mumps. Remember that you are dealing with intelligence. It is going to evolve your concept exactly as you involve it. If one could take a picture of his objective circumstances and his subjective mentality, he would find that they would be identical, for one is the cause of the other. One is the image, and the other is the reflection of that image. Receiving information. Suppose that we wish a special piece of information. We should say, I wish to know this thing, and I do know it. Whatever instrument is necessary to present it to me is now in full operation. This is a direct declaration that we have the desired knowledge, that which we wish to know, we do know. Say, the spirit of intelligence within me tells me what I should know, or everything that I should know, I do know. It does not matter how we get this knowledge. We would not care if we read it on a sign, or in the dictionary, or if it were told us, or if it were sent to us. But we should consider the demonstration complete, provided we received it. Say, everything necessary for the complete fulfillment of this idea is now in full operation, and I accept it. No failures. If one appears to have failed, he should realize that there are no failures in the universe. We should completely erase the idea of failure by stating that there are no failures. If one believes that he failed last year, he will be likely to fail again this year, unless the false thought should be erased. Now, here is a place where it looks as though one were lying to himself, but he is not, for he is declaring the truth about the spirit that indwells him. This spirit never fails. Affirm. This word blots from the book of my remembrance any sense of lack, limitation, want, or fear of failure. There is no failure, no person to fail. Failure is neither person, place, nor thing. It is a false thought and has no truth in it. It is a belief in lack, and there is no lack. It is a belief in a limitation which does not exist. Thought is very subtle. And sometimes you may find, when you are making such a statement, that arguments will rise against it. Stop right here and meet those arguments. Refuse to accept them. Opportunity. Suppose you are treating your business as something from within, says, suppose you are treating your business as something from within says, there are too many people in this business. Handle the thought of competition at once. Say, there is no competition or monopoly. You must do something to free the endeavor to express itself. Treatment is a thing of itself. It is an entity of infinite intelligence, life and action, and nothing can hinder its operation except unbelief or a lack of adequate mental equivalence. They could not enter in because of unbelief, and they tempted God and limited the Holy One of Israel. Never depend upon people or say that things must come from this or that source. It makes no difference where things come from. Say that they are and let them come from where they will. And then if something appears to happen which points to a place for them to come from. It is correct to say, if this is the place, then there is nothing which can hinder. This is not hypnotic, for you are simply guarding against the possibility of some false thought coming in and hindering your demonstration. Nothing moves but mind. God makes things through the direct act of becoming the things which he creates. This is what we do, for our thought becomes the thing thought of. The thought and the thing are one in reality. What a man has as well as what he is the result of the subjective state of his thought. Keep on subjectifying thought until the balance of your consciousness is on the affirmative side, and nothing can hinder it from demonstrating. This is inevitable, for this is the way that the law operates. No mistakes. Regarding mistakes, declare that there are none, that there never were and never will be any. Say, I represent the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. It is unerring. It never mistakes. There are no mistakes in the divine plan for me. There is no fear. There is no limitation, poverty, want, nor lack. I stand in the midst of eternal opportunity, which is forever presenting me with the evidence of its full expression. I am joy, peace, and happiness. I am the spirit of joy within me. I am the spirit of peace within me, of poise and power. I am the spirit of happiness within me. I radiate life. I am life. There is one life, and there is one life. That life is my life now. It is not enough to say there is one life and that life is God. We must complete this statement by saying that life is my life now, because we must couple this life with ours in order to express it. We are not becoming this life, but are now in and of this life. There is no other life. God is not becoming, God is. God is not growing, God is complete. God is not trying to find out something, God already knows. Evolution is not the expression of a becoming God, but is simply one of the ways that a God who already is expresses himself. And as such, it is the logical result of involution and is externally going on. Demonstration by proof. If one is in a position which is distasteful, subject to circumstances over which he apparently has no control at the time, how should he act? He should not leave the place where he is until his thoughts has drawn to him a better one. In making a demonstration, we should not shove anything before us, carrying anything with us, nor drag anything after us. We should stay where we are until our word takes us somewhere else. For this is the only proof that we have demonstrated. Handling a schoolroom. A teacher, in dealing with the thoughts of pupils, should treat their thought as a unit. The individuality of the room, of which each pupil is a part, is a perfect idea. There is one mind operating in, around, and through all these pupils, controlling them, directing them, and inspiring them. There are peace, calm, satisfaction, and enlightenment here. Realize the active presence of the one mind, working in, around, and through all, and you will find that this will harmonize the most discordant state, provided the teacher, the one who is thinking, really knows the truth. Go see mommy. The law of correspondence. The limit of our ability is to demonstrate. To demonstrate depends on our ability to provide a mental equivalent of our desire. For the law of correspondences works from the belief to the thing, but we can provide a greater mental equivalent through the unfolding of consciousness, and this growth from within will finally lead to freedom. What we demonstrate today, tomorrow, and the next day is not as important as the tendency which our thought is taking. If every day things are a little better, a little happier, a little more harmonious, a little more health giving and joyous, if each day we are expressing more life, we are going in the right direction. And so we meditate daily upon the universe of the all good, that infinite indwelling spirit, which we call God, the Father, incarnate in man, trying to sense and to feel this indwelling good as the active principle of our lives. This is what the mystics call the man of the heart, or the angel of God's presence. This is why they taught that there are always two, for there is what we seem to be and what we really are. And as we contact this higher principle of our own lives, which is perfect and complete, needing nothing, wanting nothing, knowing everything, being happy and satisfied, as we daily meditate upon this indwelling God, we shall acquire a greater mental equivalent. For those who have thought small thoughts all of their lives, a very good practice is to dwell upon the bigness of the universe. Think how many stars there are. Think of how many fish there are in the sea and how many grains of sand on the beach. Think of how big the ocean is, of the immensity of space, the bigness of everything, the grandeur of everything. Mechanically, if necessary, compel the mentality to cognize reality. Compel the consciousness to recognize the truth through pure reason, if no other conviction comes. Think, see, and feel activity. Radiate life. Feel that there is that within which is the center and circumference of the universe. The universe is the result of the self-contemplation of the Lord. Our lives are the results of our self-contemplations and are peopled with the personifications of our thoughts and ideas. Accept this without question, for it is true. Nothing is real to us unless we make it real. Nothing can touch us unless we let it touch us. Refuse to have the feelings hurt. Refuse to receive anyone's condemnation. In the independence of your own mentality, believe and feel that you are wonderful. This is not conceit. It is the truth. What can be more wonderful than the manifestation of the infinite mind? Awake, thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and Christ shall give thee light. Prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. Be firm, and ye shall be made firm. Act as though I am, and I will be. On look, thou, the deity, and the deity will on look thee. As thou hast believed, so it be done. Ask, and it shall be given unto you. So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth, it shall prosper. Note, read and study, that's something. The Edinburgh Lectures, T. Troward. The Law and the Word, T. Troward. Creative Mind and Success, E.S. Holmes. How to Visualize, Barron. Financial Success Through Creative Thought, Waddles. And that concludes, I believe, let's make sure. All right, so we just went through. Okay, yeah, so nope, we do got recapitulation. So let's go back to where we were. We're on somewhere around there. Somewhere around 180. All right, we're getting close to the end of this chapter, y'all. Thank y'all for sticking with me. Recapitulation. Limitation and poverty are not things, but are the results of restricted ways of thinking. We are surrounded by a subjective intelligence which receives the impress of our thought and acts upon it. The intelligence is a natural law in the mental world, and consequently it is neither good nor bad. It can only be said of it that it is, and that we may consciously use it. The law is a law of reflection, for life is a mirror, reflecting to us, as conditions, the images of our thinking. Whatever one thinks tends to take form and to become a part of his experience. The medium of all thought is the universal mind, acting as law. Law is always impersonal, neutral, receptive, and reactive. A sense of separation from good causes us to feel restricted, and a sense of our unity with good changes the currents of causation and brings a happier condition into the experience. Everything in the so-called material universe is an effect and exists only by virtue of some mental image behind it. Man's individuality enables him to make such use of the law as he desires. He is bound, not by limitation, but by a limited thought. The same power which binds him will free him when he understands the law to be one of liberty and not one of bondage. The power within man can free him from all disastrous conditions if the law governing this power is properly understood and utilized. The law of mind, which is the medium of all action, is a law of perfect balance. The objective world perfectly balances the images within the subjective world. Water will reach its own level by its own weight. And according to the same law, consciousness will externalize at its own level by its own weight. Cause and effect are but two sides of the same thing, one being the image in mind and the other the objective condition. The manifest universe is the result of the contemplation of the Lord. Man's world of affairs is the result of his self-contemplation. He is, at first, ignorant of this, and so binds himself through wrong ideation and action. Reversing this thought will reverse the condition. There is neither effort nor strain in knowing the truth. Right action will be compelled through right knowing. Therefore, when we know the truth, it will compel us to act in the correct manner. Attraction and repulsion are mental qualities and may be consciously utilized for definite purposes. Man, automatically and according to law, attracts from without the correspondences of his inner mental attitudes. Inner mental attitudes may be induced through right thinking and correct knowing. The subjective state of thought is the power always at work. It is the result of the sum total of all beliefs, consciously or unconsciously held. The subjective state of thought may be consciously changed through right mental action. The conscious thought controls the subconscious, and in its turn, the subconscious controls conditions. Visualizing or mentally seeing right action tends to produce the picture in external affairs. Since the law is mental, one must believe in it, or in order to have it work affirmatively for him. But it is always working according to our belief, whether we are conscious of this fact or not. Demonstration takes place through the field of the one universal mind. We set the power in motion. The law produces the effect. We plant the seed and the law produces the plant. One should never allow himself to think of or talk about limitation or poverty. Life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it. God's plan for man is a perfect one, and when we harmonize with it, we will become free from all bondage. The more spiritual the thought, the higher the manifestation. Spiritual thought means an absolute belief in and reliance upon truth. This is both natural and normal. All is love, yet all is law. Love is the impelling force, and law executes the will of love. Man is a center of God consciousness in the great whole. He cannot deface his real being, but may hinder the whole from coming into a complete expression through his life. Turning to the one with a complete abandonment and in absolute trust, he will find that he already is saved, helped, and prospered. There is one infinite mind from which all things come. This mind is through, in, and around man. It is the only mind that there is. And every time man thinks, he uses it. There is one infinite spirit. And every time man says, I am, he proclaims it. There is one infinite substance. And every time man moves, he moves in it. There is one infinite law. And every time man thinks, he sets it in motion. There is one infinite God. And every time man thinks, and every time man speaks to this God, he receives a direct answer. One, one, one. I am God, and there is none else. There is one limitless life which returns to the thinker, which he thinks into it. One, one, one. In all, over all, and through all. Talk, live, act, believe, and know that you are a center in the one. All the power there is, all the presence there is, all the love there is, all the peace there is, all the good there is, and the only God that is omnipresent. Consequently, the infinite is in and through man, and is in and through everything. Act as though I am, and I will be. And that concludes this episode. I hope y'all enjoyed this. On our next episode, we will be in the perfect whole. I'm telling y'all right now, listen, dive in on this book. This is a powerful, powerful book to help you understand manifestation at the levels that you like to manifest, at the levels that you like to make things happen. Maybe there's some things you want to not make happen anymore. It tells you how to make those things not happen anymore too. There's lots of options. There's lots of understanding in this book. There's a one piece in this book that I don't remember the exact page, but it really stood out to me. And, I was reading it today, and I think that it's going to help me in my journey. One of the things that I really love about the MasterMind Library podcast is those who choose to be a part of the podcast, we're growing together. I've read The Science of Mind before, but every time I read a book, I have grown by the next time I read it. So there's other things that I start to notice within it. So the first time I read The Science of Mind, which was a recommendation by one of my brothers, Carrie Alende L., the Grand Governor, Carrie Alende L. from the Moorish Science Temple of America. He is the person who actually recommended that I read The Science of Mind. And I understand one of the reasons why he more than likely suggested that I read this book. Because one of the things that is talked about in here is about compulsion. Well, in the Moorish Science Temple of America, it is also taught that we're not supposed to be using compulsion. And there are other things in here that I would imagine that he was recommending to me without saying it. So the point that I'm trying to make is we grow. And if we read a book or we watch a show or we write something, we notice something different each time that we do it after we have grown. Because as we grow, what is revealed to us is the same. It's the mirror. That's what he's talking. That's what Ernest Holmes was just talking about in this chapter. And in the preceding chapters. He's consistently talking about how what we think, we create the reflection. When we put a thought in mind, and especially once we emotionalize it, we automatically send directions to the subconscious mind to create a physical reality of whatever was thought. So that means that we got to control our thoughts. Well, how do we do that? How do we control our thoughts? We have to get rid of the tablets, the phones, the televisions. We don't necessarily have to throw them away, but we have to minimize the use of them. Because on those tablets, on those phones, on those computers, on those televisions, what we have is somebody else making our suggestions for us. So now we're not able to purposefully create the suggestions. The suggestions are being made for us. So now what happens is as those suggestions come into mind, they come into the brain, well, we start to create emotional connections to some of them, not to all of them, but to some of them. And then once we create those emotional connections to those thoughts that have come into mind, now we have told the subconscious without even knowing it, it is time to create a physical equivalent of whatever you was thinking. Because you have emotionalized this symbol. Whatever the thought is can be likened to a symbol. This is real science what I'm talking to y'all about. So I highly, highly, highly recommend not only do you read The Science of Mind, but you also follow through on what it is telling you to do, because it is giving away the answer. And that's one of the things that I'm always going to do on the MasterMind Library. I'm going to read books that are going to give away the answer. Hopefully you're listening and choose to use the answer to take your life to the next level. But I'm going to give away the answer on the MasterMind Library. Like this book right here, The Science of Mind, it is giving you the answer. I hope you're listening. I hope you're going to buy the printed page. I hope you're going to get the PDF. I hope you're going to listen to it while you drive down the street to go to work every day, because it's handing you the answer on how to change your reality. Whether you want your reality to be better or you want your reality to not be so bad, no matter what it is that you want in your reality, no matter what kind of change that you want, he is handing the answers to you. And the power of changing your reality is in the ability for you to change the way you think. All you got to do is think it and then allow universal consciousness to do the work. Allow mind to do the work. Allow spirit to do the work. When you're walking in your true purpose, this is what will be happening. Spirit will be doing the work. Spirit will be telling you exactly what to do. I often tell my wife, I say, "Listen, baby, I'm letting spirit guide me." I tell my homeboys, "I'm letting spirit guide me," and some of them be looking at me like, "What? What are you talking about, man?" And I tell them, I say, "Listen, man, life for me every day is like walking in a black and white world where everything I see is black and white, except for the steps I'm supposed to take. The steps I'm supposed to take is in neon colors. There's no way I can miss them. This is the beauty of walking in spirit." Let me say that again for everybody who might not have been listening. The way I see the world every day, I see a black and white world. But only thing that's in color is the steps I'm supposed to take. This is how no hurt, harm, or danger comes to you along this journey. This is how you can walk through the valleys of the shadows of death and fear no evil, for thou is with you. This is how you can do that, because you allow spirit to guide you. You trust spirit. You understand mind. You use mind effectively. Listen, the science of mind is giving the answers, and I hope y'all are tuning in. Every one of y'all, be blessed. Expose your gift.